Los Angeles is known today as a city that redefined the 20th century. But what if concrete and light? Beneath the modern sprawling metropolis of told you that beneath skyscrapers lie in wood and adobe that has been a completely different city, a ghost town of Victoria of the San Gabriel Mountains, just a few decades prior to against a dusty, almost entirely Hollywood sign. Los Angeles wasn't on the razor's edge defined by fame or freeways, but by the jagged silhouette of the open sky. In 1880, Los Angeles was a city of transformation. It was shedding its identity as a remote, lawless cattle town and beginning its rapid ascent into an American empire. But this transition wasn't smooth. It was a clash of cultures, technologies, and landscapes. In this AI reconstruction, we peel back the layers of modern asphalt to reveal a landscape of adobes, Victorian brick, zanjas, and orange groves. Watch closely, because some of the land and their location in the modern city. Make sure to subscribe and comment below with suggestions for what city, era, landmarks we're about to visit disappeared without a trace, or landmark you want to see next. If you enjoy this kind of deep dive into historic cities, shadow hung over it. Just 9 years earlier, this area was 1880. The population was roughly 11,000 people, a fraction. The strict grid of the Spanish founders' hills on the left. That is Bunker Hill before it was flattened. Today, it's a business district is still visible around the plaza, but new American streets are cutting aggressively into the surrounding hills and plains, offering wealthy residents a view clear to the ocean, a view that would soon be blocked by smog and steel. There were no elevators yet, and the tallest structures were church steeples and the ornate residential neighborhood. Victorian mansions were starting to climb these slopes, towers of new commercial blocks. The air here was different too, filled with the dust. Those in San Francisco, built near the dusty plaza where bullfights once took place. But notice what is happening around it. But don't let the pastoral look fool you. The streets below were teeming with a chaotic energy that was about to explode. This view takes us to the historic heart of the city, the plaza. For nearly a century, this was the center of California life. Even in 1880, as the city Americanized, the plaza retained its old-world rhythm, but a site of violent riots, and the tension between the old lawless West and the new civic order was palpable. You can see the Pico House, built just a decade earlier by Pio Pico, the last Mexican governor of California. It stood as a bridge between two eras, a grand hotel meant to rival those of unpaved streets and the scent of citrus drifting in from the newly planted orchards that bordered the urban core. The adobe structures are being crowded out. Life here was a complex mixture of cultures. Mexican vaqueros, Chinese laborers, and Anglo businessmen shared these streets. To the east of the plaza lay Calle de los Negros, a notorious street known for gambling and vice, which was slowly being dismantled to make way for respectable commerce. This visual friction reflects a diversity that has always been central to the city's DNA, even amidst the intense racial tensions of the era. Water was the bloodline of this last towers, but in 1880 it was beginning its transformation into the city's most exclusive arid landscape, and in 1880 controlling it was more important than gold. Before the massive aqueducts of the 20th century, Los Angeles relied on the Zanja system, a network of open ditches diverted from the Los Angeles River. This reconstruction shows the Zanja Madre, or Mother Ditch, winding its way through the city like a main artery. But here's a detail most history books miss. The man in charge of this ditch, the Zanjero, was often paid more than the mayor. Why? Because in a dry land, he who opens the gate holds the power. In the early years, this water was used for everything from drinking to irrigation. But look closely at the water's edge in this shot. By 1880, the open ditches were becoming a health hazard in a densifying city. They were polluted and dangerous. We are witnessing the very moment of change, the beginning of modern infrastructure. Brick sewers and piped water are gravity-fed canals that had turned the desert into a garden, signaling the end of the agrarian village and the birth of a sanitary modern city. The defining event of this era, however, was the arrival of the railroad. For years, Los Angeles had been isolated, a queen of the cow counties, accessible mainly by stagecoach or steamship. But in 1876, the Southern Pacific Railroad finally connected the city to the national network, followed soon by the Santa Fe. This chaotic energy. This wasn't just a station, it was the valve through which the world poured in. But who was arriving? It wasn't just speculators, it was the sick. In the 1880s, Los Angeles branded itself as the sanitarium of the West. Thousands of people suffering from tuberculosis and respiratory issues flocked here, believing the dry, warm air was a miracle cure. The railroad sparked a massive land boom, driving ticket prices down to just $1 for a trip from the Midwest, bringing waves of tourists, into a desperate demand for housing, pushing the city limits outward faster than the mapmakers could draw. Just south of the plaza, we see the emergence of Main Street and Spring Street as the new commercial hubs. In 1880, these streets were lined poles, symbols of modernity. But look up, you might spot something that looks like this image captures the Southern Pacific Depot, a scene of chaotic science fiction. Around this time, Los Angeles began experimenting with massive moonlight towers, tall masts with intense arc lights designed for the 101 freeway. That's why this AI reconstruction is so vital. It allows us to stand in the shadow of replacing the single-story adobe structures of the Mexican era. Horse-drawn streetcars rattle down the center of the road, connecting the growing suburbs to the downtown business district. It is a scene of a city trying desperately to look like a civilized Eastern capital, like Chicago or New York. Yet the dusty hills in the background remind us that nature was still invalids seeking the healthful climate and speculators looking to get rich. This influx created very much in control, and the desert was always waiting to reclaim the land. Agriculture was also reshaping the periphery of the city. In the 1880s, the cattle ranches were designed to illuminate entire neighborhoods at once. It was a bold, futuristic attempt to banish the night. That had dominated the economy for 50 years were being subdivided into farms and orchards. The Orange Empire was born in these years. This view shows the edge of the city, where urban blocks abruptly end and give way to rows of different color. The success of the citrus industry, this marketing image of sunny groves and snow-capped mountains, is what convinced hundreds of thousands to fueled by the new rail connections that could ship fruit east without it spoiling, brought immense wealth to the region. These green grids of trees were as much a piece of infrastructure as the railroads, turning Los Angeles into a mythical Garden of Eden in the minds of Americans back east. The architecture here tells the story of the decade. Distinct Victorian commercial blocks with cast iron facades. Period was the Baker Block, completed in the late 70s. Built on the site of a historic adobe, it was considered one of the grandest buildings south of San Francisco. Its 3 towers in French Second Empire style signaled ambition. It housed a moment of calm before the explosion of the 20th century. If you want to see how this naval orange trees, this wasn't just farming, it was a gold rush of professional offices and was a center of social life, symbolizing the shift of power from the old landed gentry to the new suspecting Easterners, while others were destined to become major suburbs like Pasadena and mercantile class. But notice its grandeur compared to the dirt road in front of it. It represents the fake-it-till-you-make-it attitude of early LA. A building that defined the city's elegance, yet exists now only in black and white photographs and archives. By the end of the decade, the boom of the 80s would reach a peak fever. The population would nearly quintuple in just a few years. Entire new towns were planned by an aggressive, expanding American city. Looking at these reconstructions, sadly, like many landmarks from this period, the Baker Block is gone. It was eventually demolished to make way in the desert, some existing only on paper, sold by swindlers to Santa Monica. The quiet, sun-baked Pueblo was gone forever. Replaced, we see the moment of conception from modern Los Angeles, a city built on boosterism, water engineering, real estate speculation, and the promise of a golden future under the western sun. What we see here is the last pack their bags and move. One of the most imposing structures of this